This meeting is a meeting of the Board of Education in public for the purpose of conducting the school district's business and is not to be considered a public community meeting. Public participation is governed by Board Bylaws 0169.1, public participation at board meetings. Mrs. Petter, roll call, please.
Mr. Simons?
Present.
Mrs. Kessler?
Here.
Mrs. Weider?
Present.
Mrs. Cleveland?
Here.
Mrs. Moore?
Here.
Mr. Carr, could you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
I like that. You got to laugh.
Need a motion for approval or revision of agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. Mrs. Petter?
Mrs. Kessler?
Yes.
Mrs. Weider?
Yes.
Mrs. Cleveland?
Yes.
Mrs. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Simons?
Yes. Motion passes. Our next item is inspirational message. Mr. Card?
Thank you. Tonight we have Mrs. Peterson and her wonderful students and staff from Heritage Hill Elementary. So Mrs. Peterson, let you come up to the mic and introduce her, whomever on your staff wants to introduce. And get them ready to go so we can see the great things you're doing.
Can we go down? Should we go down?
Let you go first.
We just want to take a couple minutes, and we are very fortunate and excited, all those emotions tonight, to be here to represent Heritage Hill. And we want to talk to you a little bit about and show you how we've transformed our culture this year at Heritage Hill. And I could not do it without this amazing team, so I'm going to let them shine. And then we'll have a video just in the background that'll show our message.
First, on Tuesdays, we have Positive T-shirt Tuesday, where staff and students can wear Heritage Hill, Princeton, or any positive T-shirt, and it just helps us to have a fun community. Some of the T-shirts are fun and funny, like our staff contest winner. She made a shirt when she won a contest. So we have fun shirts. We have shirts that show our pride in Heritage Hill and Princeton.
One thing I like about Positive T-shirt Tuesday is that everybody can wear positive T-shirts.
Hi, I'm Kate Wheeler. So another initiative that we have that you'll see in some of the pictures is we have a Wellness Wednesday. So after Positive T-shirt Tuesday, we have Wellness Wednesday where everyone can wear active clothes, and it's kind of to promote a healthy lifestyle in our school, and it goes to our students too. So students and staff can wear workout gear for the day. The last Wednesday of every month, we offer a staff initiative where we offer a jazzercise group that I instruct, and then we also do a walking group and a yoga group. And so staff, before the school day, oh, perfect timing, there we are right there. Staff can come and they can take part in any, and it's totally voluntary, no one has to do it, but we've had great turnouts for the different activities that we do each month. So it's been a lot of fun, and it's just a good creative way to build staff morale with everybody. So
our last thing that we want to talk about is Friendship Friday. So you've seen some of us carrying stuffed animals around. Every staff member at Heritage Hill has a Friendship Friday group that consists of 6 to 12 children. And the children are anywhere from kindergarten, well, actually, they're kindergarten, first, second, third, fourth, and fifth grade. So for example, I have 6 children, and we're the giraffes group. And I have a child from 1 in K, first, second, third, fourth, and fifth. These kids will be with me every year until they graduate from Heritage Hill. And it's a great opportunity for kids to have someone, a staff member that's not academically associated with them, that they can come to for anything. Someone to just give them a hug, someone to talk to. It's the last Friday of the month, and some of the things that we've been working on are character attributes. So we've got some of our 5th graders here with posters of the things that our students have made, and they're quality character attributes that we work on, learning about things like empathy, responsibility, respect, gratitude, and then the kids get to share how they have shown courage in their life with the group, with our small group. And another really fun thing is that the 5th graders are given responsibility. They get to go and pick up the kindergartner from our group and bring them to a group. And they also get to help the younger kids feel more comfortable and share. So, excellent.
Yes.
All right. So some of our 5th graders are going to come up.
Hi, my name is Victor, and the Friendship Friday team that I'm in is Hedgehogs. And my favorite thing about it is that other grades get to gather around and do fun activities.
My name is Juan, and the group I am is the Cheetahs. And something that I like about Friendship Friday is picking up the kindergartners for them to go to the groups or the classes.
Hi, my name is Jared, and I am in the team Rabbits. And one thing I like about Friendship Friday is when I can work together with other kids.
Hi, my name's Priscilla, and the group I'm in for Friendship Friday is the Pigeons. And one thing that I like about Friendship Friday is that we meet new people and learn new things. Hi, my name is Araya, and the group that I am for Friendship Friday is Hippos. And something that I like about Friendship Friday is that we get to learn new things. My name is Journey, and my favorite thing about Friendship Friday is that we get to be like leaders and like help little kids and stuff. So, yeah.
And they have a poem.
We do. We have a poem we want to share, so if you guys want to
Go up there.
And we're going to ask you to join us for just a very quick Friendship Friday mini lesson. We're just going to do one activity. They're going to be good.
Friendship Fridays are the best. Character traits are addressed. We work together in groups of 10, 5th grade students to kindergarten. Friendship Fridays strengthen our school. Learn to have empathy, courage, and respect our core. We love to show you one of our
quick, I want to say, I happened to walk into the first Friday, I believe, didn't I, Miss Peterson? Yes. Happened to just be visiting the building, and I'm walking, I go down to the gym, there's kids everywhere, and people, and I was like, what's going on here? So it's grown from that. And then I think one of the Jazzercise teachers, my daughter, saw her picture, and she goes, Dad, that girl at your school did my Jazzercise class, so we got a lot of connections here going on, don't we?
That's one of my people.
Yeah, she was fired up when she saw your picture.
And I will say that the first thing kids ask when they walk in is, Mr. Carson.
They see me a little bit.
Okay, number 2, proclamation. Mr. Cart.
All right. This month is Music in Our Schools Month, so I want to read this proclamation. The board wishes to proclaim the following. Whereas the study of music contributes to young people's development through heightened skills in listening, reading, self-expression, and creativity. And whereas music education in our schools includes a broad range of types of music and active musical experiences. And whereas music and other arts significantly enhance the morale and quality of our school environment. Whereas it is stated objective of the public schools to prepare children for a productive role in our society. And whereas the National Association for Music Education has designated March 2025 as Music in Our Schools Month with the theme of United Through Music. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Princeton Board of Education endorses the observance of Music in Our Schools Month as an opportunity to support the purpose and practices of music education, encourages teachers, parents, students, and all citizens to participate because we are united through music. Thank you.
Thank you. 2B, proclamation. Mr. Cart.
It is also National Women's History Month. The board wishes to proclaim the following. Whereas the National Women's History Alliance, NWHA, has declared March as National Women's History Month, and whereas the theme for 2025 is Moving Forward Together, Women Educating and Inspiring Generations, and whereas NWHA encourages recognition of women, past and present, who have been active in all forms of media and storytelling, including print, radio, TV, stage, screen, blogs, podcasts, and more. And whereas women have long been instrumental in passing on our heritage in word and in print to communicate the lessons of those who come before us. And whereas, in the words of former President Jimmy Carter, from the first settlers who came to our shores, from the first American Indian families who befriended them, men and women have worked together to build this nation. Too often the women were unsung, and sometimes their contributions went unnoticed. But the achievements, leadership, courage, strength, and love of the women who built America was as vital as that of the men whose names we all know so well. And whereas we recognize and honor these brave, accomplished, and influential women who told and continue to tell their stories. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Princeton Board of Education endorses the observation of National Women's History Month in March of 2025 and recognizes the woman's dedication and shared desire to give voice to the voiceless and critical to keeping us informed, entertained, and aware. And I will add, being a girl dad of 4 daughters, that means a lot reading that, and a wonderful wife, and a wonderful mother. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Any sisters?
No sisters, just brothers.
Oh, okay.
I don't forget.
Okay, Mr. Cart, Part C,
All right.
recognition.
Yeah, this is great recognition here. 3 elementary schools in the Princeton City School District, Glendale Elementary, Heritage Hill Elementary, and Lincoln Heights Elementary have been recognized as the 2024 Momentum Award winners by the Ohio Department of Education and Workforce, ODEW. The prestigious award acknowledges schools and districts that have improved their performance index by 3 or more points from the previous year, while also achieving a value-added rating of 4 or more stars. The announcement came with high praise from Stephen D. Dakin, Director of ODU, who commended the schools for their commitment to student achievement. The Momentum Award is a testament to your dedication to excellence for our students and in the community. This notable accomplishment celebrates those who create a supportive learning environment that foster growth, collaboration, and success. And I believe we have Heritage Hill here for sure. They're in the house. And we have Mr. Walker from Glendale, and with Mrs. Bailey and some of her staff possibly back there from Lincoln Heights. So let's have Lincoln Heights first, there on top. Come on up.
The light's gonna be on your. I wanted a group shot with all those principals. Are you gonna do a group shot with the principals? No.
Oh, we can?
Yeah.
And now, Glendale.
Oh, you working well. Amy's doing double duty. How many jobs do you have? No, you know. And I gotta say, it's always nice to see Paul Hoag's daughter here. Longtime school board member Paul Hoag. There's his daughter Melanie. You relate to everybody. I don't know who your cousins are. I just know.
We got a good family.
She's a, that's a great thing.
No paper, sign.
Okay, recognition of visitors, there are none that signed in to comment. Shall we go to our consent agenda? Need a motion for approval?
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. Mrs. Petter?
Mrs. Wyder?
Yes.
Mrs. Cleveland?
Yes.
Mrs. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Simons?
Yes.
Mrs. Kessler?
Yes.
Motion approved. Number 5, district business. The February report, need a motion?
I move to approve the February 2025 financial report as presented. Second.
Properly moved and seconded. Mrs. Petter, comments?
Very brief. First of all, you have 3 of the 4 reports in front of you tonight. I'll bring that 4th one to the next meeting. Just taking a little bit more time to get the numbers correct on that one. But you have your reconciliation as well as all your investment statements by month. 2 from Red Tree, 3 from Star, Ohio. That's where the district has its investment holdings. And then the credit card report. All of these were required to submit to you monthly. And then finally, the report of the 018 fund. Again, just a gentle reminder that we are deficit spending in our corporate donation fund, which is fine. We had a healthy cash balance there too. But we'll either have to start thinking about expenses coming out of that fund or increase our revenue coming into that fund. Doesn't that sound familiar? So, but that's the 3 reports I have for you tonight.
Okay, could you call the roll?
Mrs. Cleveland?
Yes.
Mrs. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Simons?
Yes.
Mrs. Kessler?
Yes.
Mrs. Wyder?
Yes. I have a question.
Sure.
It may come up later, but I'm looking forward to receiving that list of things we will have to cut if the levy fails. So whenever you get that list compiled, that would be great. Thank you.
Okay, A passes. B, service agreement contract. Need a motion for B. 5B.
I move to approve the service agreement contract with RTF Fire Protection as presented.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. Mr. Card?
Yeah, this is to upgrade our intrusion and fire panel phone lines to cellular. We talked about that a couple months ago in some other areas. With the cost of the phone lines to upgrade to cellular, there's a little bit of a cost to that. But once we get going, we're going to make save about $12,000 annually, so it's well worth it, and it will last longer, so that's what we're doing there.
Okay. Anyone else? If not, Ms. Petter?
Mrs. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Simons?
Yes.
Mrs. Kessler?
Yes.
Mrs. Wyder?
Yes.
Mrs. Cleveland?
Yes.
Motion passes. C, special education policy resolution.
I move to approve the special education policy resolution as presented.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded.
This one is the Ohio Department of Workforce, Education and Workforce. You have to approve a resolution by the board by the end of March that we will make sure the district will provide education for our children with disabilities within the jurisdiction and have the same policies, procedures, programs consistent with the policies and procedure as the department, DFW, or DEW, I'm sorry, Ohio Department of Education and Workforce. Just saying our education policies fit with theirs for our special ed students, I should say.
Any questions from the board? If not, Mrs. Petter?
Mr. Simons?
Yes?
Mrs. Kessler?
Yes.
Mrs. Wyder?
Yes.
Mrs. Cleveland?
Yes.
Mrs. Moore?
Yes.
Motion C passes. Moving to D, approval of the contract with Translative Live LLC.
I move to approve the contract with Translate Live LLC as presented.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. Mr. Card?
Yeah, this one is, as you know, and you'll find out shortly with our academic report tonight, we have many languages. So when we're having IEP meetings or meetings with parents and things of that nature, this is just another tool for us to be able to translate. What this one looks like is, his QR code, they have a phone, it'll, when you talk in English or whatever language it is, it will translate in the language you want it to on your phone, so you can read that. I think it'll be very beneficial. I got to see a demonstration. It was really nice, and I think it'll be great for our students and our parents and our community.
How many languages are spoken in Princeton?
Last I saw 50 plus, but Ms. Perrin will be speaking here soon. It's around there probably, but she will give you a full lesson on that here shortly.
And this software can handle all 50?
Yeah, we believe so. There's dialects, but yeah, almost all languages we can get. Yep.
Okay.
Is this a, excuse me, is this a one-year contract?
Yes, it is. I believe so.
Okay.
If I read it.
See, the billing
Yes.
cycle says 1 to 3 years,
Yeah.
but, okay.
Well, I think part of it is you want to,
See.
I think it'll be really nice. I think we're going to use it quite a bit, what I saw in the demonstrations that we looked at. But,
Okay.
we want to make sure before we invest more years.
Okay.
Mrs. Petter?
Mrs. Kessler?
Yes.
Mrs. Wyder?
Yes.
Mrs. Cleveland?
Yes.
Mrs. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Simons?
Yes. Motion D passes. Moving to E, approval of resolutions for sales for the 2024 tax year Board of Revision complaints.
I move to approve the resolutions to authorize the filing of Board of Revision complaints as presented.
Second.
Mrs. Petter, comments?
So this is what possibly is going to be an annual event. The first time we did this was last year. Because of a change in law, the board is now allowed to challenge sales of companies that come in higher than the current valuation. So Hamilton County has given it a valuation, and it sells for more. And it has to be at least $554,000 more and 10% above the auditor's value. So at that point, we are then allowed to challenge. And Ennis Britton handles this for us. They put together all these individual resolutions for us. After board approval, then they send out the certified letters to the companies notifying them that the Board of Revisions will be filed for them, and then the normal process for BOR takes place down in Hamilton County. So this is what we're required to do based on this new law.
So Ennis and Britton follows it all the way through.
They follow it all the way through. If there comes a time where there might be a settle, we might settle on something, Gary usually sends me an email. He said, here's what they've agreed to, here's what I think, and we usually move forward with Gary's opinion, so.
Do we know about how much money this is valued at?
So the difference in the valuation by the county and what the sales is over 30 million in valuation. So as with everything we do with Ennis and Britton, when we do other types of work with them on Board of Revision cases, and we're always weighing the cost versus the gain. So anytime, and within that cost is, of course, legal fees.
Right.
So
Do you think this will be to our advantage?
I think we sure have to go after 30 million in valuation. So it'll be interesting, you never know what they're gonna bring to the table. We simply right now have a county valuation from the auditor's office, and we are comparing it with the sales value, which is really good data, so.
Now, does this always happen this time of year?
Yes.
Or could it be throughout the year?
It happens one time a year.
One time a year.
And when we subtract the legal fees, we're still making money.
Yes, Gary really is, he doesn't waste our time or his time on
That's
this,
great.
so.
Can you help us understand what is the school district's interest in these businesses? Is it their property? Is it their revenue?
Since.
What is it
Since,
exactly?
since we receive revenue based on property valuations, we always are very high property valuations, maintaining property valuations. Fair property valuations is always very important to us, since it's a large part of our revenue source. So, I mean, you know, in a district where this is a majority of the money we receive, our state funding is not as high, we have to make sure we maintain our tax base, which affects our bottom line revenue. So it's gotten challenging. I mean, before we didn't have to have the 10% or the $554,000 difference. You know, if it made sense, we could do it. And we didn't have to go, there was a board of revisions process in place, remember. You go down, you file your paperwork, the county notifies everybody, and we move through the process. But this puts another step in it, another cost to the district.
So if I'm a doctor that I'm renting office space and I sell my practice for $1 million versus I'm a bus company that has revenue of $1 million, but I have 20 or 30 buses, which do we most care about?
I think we
As a
don't
district.
ever go after residential properties, first and foremost. We're only looking at commercial and industrial properties. So,
So
again,
real estate.
and if the money doesn't make sense, if we're gonna spend more money with Ennis Britton, then we're going to keep. We don't waste
Oh, that's good.
time and resources on that at all.
So it's basically real estate then?
Yeah, it's fair, you know?
No, I'm just making sure that we know
I mean, it is fair.
what we're trying to attach to.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, residential, we don't touch.
And about how long does this process take, do we know?
Again, I think it's gonna be very interesting. The last year's cycle, which was mostly residential, when we saw we've seen the last increases in property valuations, residential, that period of board of revisions lasted longer than people can remember. So usually it's done so they can do our valuations in December, so you can start our tax budget cycle and everything as we do annually. That was pushed until well after Thanksgiving. So the counties were having a hard time getting the numbers to the state to approve because they were still going through board of revisions because so many people filed.
Complain, yeah.
So many people filed because valuations had jumped so high. It's very, very interesting. It's an annual cycle of the job.
I wonder if that happened to Warren County, Butler County. I mean, since part of the
Oh,
district goes
yeah.
into those counties.
And yeah, and
The
every
property
county,
value.
you know, there are counties a lot of counties saw 30+%
Yeah.
valuation increases. But it's really interesting too, and so that's all very different depending on where your property is, you know. In our district, Lincoln Heights and Woodlawn saw the largest percent increase in their valuation. So it's just very interesting to watch that. Typically, our Princeton valuation does not increase as high as the whole county. So that's just something we see,
Yeah.
where our percent is usually a little lower.
And I knew it would for Woodlawn because I'm on the board for Housing Opportunities Made Equal, and they did that study, and the study showed that it did go up in Woodlawn and Lincoln Heights, and it's interesting, it didn't go up in any of our other communities. Not to that extent, it went up small percentages, but really high in Woodlawn and Lincoln Heights.
Is this all Hamilton County?
This is, no, there's some Butler County in there.
Okay, I couldn't tell, okay.
I
Just curious.
The Warren County part we sit in, I'm not sure there is commercial or industrial in that part of Warren County. I do see Butler County, you know, that's right
I do,
around, just
yeah.
north and,
That's what I was
of
wondering.
us, so there's a lot of commercial and industrial there. So,
Interesting.
it is very interesting.
Okay. Mrs. Perry, roll.
Mrs. Wyder?
Yes.
Mrs. Cleveland?
Yes.
Mrs. Moore?
Yes,
Mr. Simons?
Yes.
Mrs. Kessler?
Yes.
Motion E passes. Number 6, board policy update, first reading.
Yeah, we met with the policy committee, Board Policy Committee on Friday, February 28th. Reviewed and revisited and added and rescinded 31 policies. So this is just the first reading for you to look at. I would encourage you to look through these. If you have questions, email me and I can get those answers to you before the next meeting at the end of the month. I think one that's been in the news heavy is the cell phone policy. So that was, we got that revisited to what we do now, rewritten. But there's quite other few on there too you can look at and let us know if you have questions.
Okay, so we should email you.
If you have
Okay, I
questions,
have a couple questions. Okay.
email me if you have questions. I'll get back to you. I'll usually get back to you pretty quick.
Yeah, okay.
But it's sort of left up, the last time we talked about it in Neola, it seemed like it was left up to, at least at the high school level, left up to each teacher on how that teacher handled this.
No, not necessarily. At the high school, when they come into class, they have pouches they put their phones in. They're supposed to put them up. During non-instructional time, hallways, cafeteria, they can have their phones at the high school. K-8, they're put away all day. It should be turned off and put away. So that's what the policy reads.
So you're saying 9 through 12 in every high school classroom at Princeton, they have to put their phones away while they're in class?
Now, I'm not in every class, and I can't say every teacher is going and counting every slide.
Are they supposed to do that?
But they put them in there, yes.
Okay.
Honestly, I would say if kids are keeping their pocket turned off, they're probably not going to chase them because they're taking time. But if they're using it in class, then the teacher will deal with them.
Any other questions?
I'll email it. Never mind.
Next is academic update.
We have Ms. Kelly Perrin, our Director of EL, who will have a great presentation for us here. So I put copies at each of your places here
Thank you.
you can look at or on the screen.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Evening.
So I'm going to talk to you about our English learner updates. Is that working? Not working. Thanks. So we're going to talk about the number of our English learners we currently have in our district, look at historical enrollment data, talk about our annual assessment for language proficiency, which is OELPA, look at the results we had from last year, and then what we're spending our Title III money on, as well as some highlights. So as you have mentioned, we have lots of languages in our district. We currently have over 50 languages spoken. That includes dialects and some non-written languages as well. We also have over 30 nations represented. We have added a few in the past couple years. As we've said before, we still have the inhabited continents represented, all of them in our district. So we still are known for that here, which is great. One thing I'd like to note is that with the languages, with our EL students, a lot of times we see our demographics and assume that the kids are English learners or multilingual learners, which is the other acronym that we use, and they're not. So we have to know that a student is identified as an English learner. So just because we see the Hispanic population doesn't mean that they are EL. We have grown from, in our language, like I said, we have about 20% of our speakers that speak languages other than Spanish. 80% of our EL students are speaking Spanish. So that's huge. All right, next one. So our enrollment data. This is a good trend to show you in the past 5 years where we have grown. This is coming from the state as of last year. We have seen a significant increase in our ELs over the past 5 years. We currently, as of last week, are sitting at 1,512 students that are identified as English learners. This does not include our JVS or our exited students that we have to monitor for 2 years. We have also early grads are not included in this as well. We've had 68 early grads this school year. With our exited students, we're required to monitor them for 2 years. They still count in our report card. So we have seen significant growth in our EL population. The next slide, please. So we currently now are sitting at 27.08% of our student population is identified as an English learner. Last year, we were 24.88%, and in 22-23 school year, we were 22.8%. That's an increase of 12.2% just in 2 years' time. So with that also being said, in light of some of the political realm we're sitting in, we have not seen a decrease in our attendance, which is huge. So our students are still coming to school. They want to be here. They're still attending. So we're very happy about that. They know that school's a safe place. So looking at us compared to everybody else in the state, we currently are still sitting, we were sitting number 1. This year we had Painesville kind of squeeze by us. So we are now sitting at number 2. And this is all based on last year's data. So this is 23-24 data. We'll get that new data this coming fall. Where we sit. So, but if you can see, you look at this, 30% of the identified ELs in the state of Ohio sit in these 15 districts. Around us, there are quite a few. Winton Woods, another one, Fairfield, but we are sitting number 2 in terms of that. And we may surpass Painesville this year as well and go back to number 1. And then on the next slide, it shows where we sit as a total enrolled district. So of that, we still sit at number 11. We've been in that spot for a few years. But 50% of Ohio's English language learners are sitting in these 15 districts. So where are we at currently with our enrollment? I did a breakdown by building so you can get an idea of where our buildings are sitting in terms of total enrolled students versus EL enrollment and what that percentage looks like. We have a lot of our buildings sitting at over 30%, and 2 of them are right almost at 50%, if not higher. We also have ELs in every building now. This is the first year we've had English learners in every building. And on the next slide, it kind of breaks it down for you in terms of how that looks as well. I broke it down by where we are, like you saw on the previous slide, in terms of EL enrollment, and then how many TESOL certified staff we have per building to service those students, and then what that breakdown looks like student-teacher ratio, so you can kind of see. The 3 buildings that we have ELs in that we don't have any services for are Evendale, Lincoln Heights, and Woodlawn. Again, those are 3 buildings where there is no service provided for those students. So breaking it down, overall student population, teacher-student ratio, is 1 to 72 students per teacher. That's district average. And then in the K to 5, it's a 1 to 73 student-teacher ratio. And then our 6 to 12 is about a 1 to 70 student ratio. But we have to think about those students that are in those grades and their level of proficiency, which leads me to this, the OLPAS, our annual language proficiency assessment, which is currently taking place. We're in the middle of that window. It opened on February 3rd and runs through March 28th. We only have last year's data because obviously we're sitting in this current testing season. We'll get this data released to us May 15th, 16th-ish, and then we kind of do a data scrub, and usually everything's finalized by middle of summer for this. But looking at this, you can see where our students sit. Now, the way Ohio does this is kind of confusing. The other ELPA 21 states don't do it this way, but you've got 4 domains that you're assessed in, listening, speaking, reading, and writing, and they're on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being emerging, 5 being proficient. We take those 4 domains, and they give you an overall proficiency score in a 1, 2, or 3. So you've got your emerging, your progressing, and your proficient. That progressing, that 2 area, is a broad difference between your lower level to your higher level. So we break that down in the bottom, as you can see. We break it down to a level 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, and a 5. So it's a 2A, 2B, 2C. The majority of our students are sitting in that demographic. So looking at this, we took a lot of time to go into buildings and do data dives to talk about where are these students sitting, particularly looking at our blue and our green on the bottom scale. What can we do? Those kids are on the cusp of exiting, and what's holding them back from exiting, and looking at your building data. Where are the supports at in terms of classroom support to help them meet the domain or 2 that are kind of holding them back? And this, we've done a lot with the cooperative strategies, as we've had been working on the past year too, to kind of pump that up inside not just EL services, but in the main classroom that the students are sitting in 95% of the day. Let's see if I missed anything else. So yeah, so that's so basically 59% of our students are sitting in the progressing level. So we have to kind of dive in and see where we can support those students as best as we can. And then the next slide. So where have we spent some money this year? So we do have about $40,000 in general fund that's assigned just to EL, but we also have on top of that just general fund for staffing. There's about 1.9 million is set aside for staff salaries and benefits. We also have within that $40,000 general fund, we've got our EL management platform, which is called Elevations, and that meets our ESSA requiremements in terms of managing our program, keeping our student data, also writing our EL plans, which we're required to write year over year. And then we also have translation in there as well, some support, and that's for live translators that come in. That's our contract through Affordable Languages, and that's for anybody that has a conference or a need for an in-person interpreter. State testing, we get interpreters for our students that qualify for interpretation. That's part of that as well. And then within our Title III funds, we have a building bilingual liaison support person in that, and that's about $96,000. We also have summer school funded in there. We've purchased lots of curriculum materials, particularly to align with the science of reading, to help support buildings, not only just the EL, but for all students, because what we do for EL is good for all students. Also set aside a lot of money in professional development and our translation support. And like Mr. Card mentioned, we have that Translate Live that we're getting, which is new, which will be great for our families to help support with the parent engagement piece as well. And then also Catholic Charities is in there as well. So highlights, what we've done in terms of more in-depth than what the spending has been. PD, again, like I said, we've done a lot of support with providing PD for our staff. We have done in the years past, we focused on sign-up for our 6 to 12 piece, but taking newly hired staff that don't have a background in EL or PSYOP and helping to support them in getting PSYOP trained through the county. We've also scaled up PSYOP training for the elementaries. We did an all-day training here beginning of January. We're also supporting with the science of reading in terms of getting staff Orton Gillingham trained. So we currently have 15 participants that are in training or are being trained, and some that have gone on to the level 2 of Orton Gillingham training. We've purchased lots of curriculum materials for our EL students, but also, again, it's all aligned to the science of reading. We've focused a lot on the elementary for some of that new curriculum because they didn't have it, and then also supporting the secondary staff with getting more of our the Cengage materials for EL. And then, of course, family engagement, which, you know, we're really big on doing. So that is still, we've taken a little vacation for that, but we're back up and running with the Learning and Leading Together starting Wednesday at Heritage Hill. And then our second cup of coffee. So we do spend a lot of money on that to help provide families, you know, if we have meals in the evening, we provide all materials so they don't have to come with anything. If they don't have it, we have it there for them. And then babysitting and stuff for those families that need it. And then the translation support, like I said, is huge. That's it. Any questions? I went over a whole lot in my allotted minutes, so hopefully I give you a lot of good information about our program and all the great things that we're doing.
With the increased enrollment, there's increased costs. What would you say the percentages of increased costs?
That I do not know off the top of my head. I would say right now we don't have an increased cost. We've not increased our staffing. So there has been no increase in terms of staffing support. So that is not a cost that we've seen. We've actually had to decrease our staff. I would say the increase, the Title III budget's based off of how many students we have enrolled. So that budget's kind of set based off what I have enrollment-wise. But we have increased our funding towards, pushing that funding towards curriculum resources and translation.
Any other questions, board?
All right.
Thank you, Ms. Parent.
Okay, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Item number 7A is the treasurer's report.
I have, the audit was finalized this morning by the Auditor of State. I think you all probably received an email. I will forward what I received to you also, in case it's different. But it was a good audit. We had a couple management comments, and we're working through the questions on those. One is on the reconciliation. We had a heart-to-heart talk with our auditors about, you know, when we're off $300 on our bank reconciliation of $120 million. We have, I know, we have to get to zero. So we're working on that. They don't, you know, for off a penny, we're still wrong. It's really hard for me to understand that percentage is so scary low, but we will persevere and we will figure this out, and we'll get that comment off our management letter. But again, that doesn't affect the audit. The audit's a good audit, and we're doing everything right in this district. Of course, it's just not the books audit. It is all of our practices, and are we following our procedures and policy, and we're just doing a good job. So it was another good audit.
Now, do you do 2 audits a year, one from the state and one from someone independently?
So it's a state annual audit.
Right.
The state auditor of state does not have enough resources to do all 600-plus school districts in the state. So they farm it out to independents. We had the state, when I first arrived here, we are in year 6 of being out with an independent. Typically, it's a 5-year contract, and then typically the state tries to take you back depending on how much room they have with their staff. So we'll see what happens. Another 4 years with Milhoff staying. We're very happy with their work. So we'll see what happens. We were very happy with state auditors too, so no complaints from Princeton about the teams we've been given to work with.
Yeah, I think it was a couple of years ago you won an award
So,
for
yes.
the numbers.
Yes.
So that's good.
Auditor State was here masked.
During COVID.
So, yes, but yeah, fine audit, good audit, we're pleased. There's all kinds of little mini audits that always happen at different times. Ron Fosnaugh is going through a special ed audit right now. I mean, they just, you know, the state will pick something and they'll do a little deep dive into it. Typically, it's around federal funding and things like that, but those happen all the time. So we're all fairly well-versed in talking with our colleagues at the state and handing them data and reviewing it with them, and it's just what we do. So
That's good.
it's all part of it.
Thank you,
That's all I
Chris.
have.
Superintendent's report?
I'll take her time. I have quite a bit, but it's good because it's good stuff, right? We have good things going on. So our DECA state competition is tomorrow and Wednesday. For those who know what DECA is, I wrote it down so I can read it. I know what it is, but I know a lot of people don't. It's a career and technical student organization that prepares emerging leaders for entrepreneurs in marketing, finance, hospitality, and management. So we have some students going up to Columbus the next couple of days to compete in that. I got to meet some of those kids on the Viking Voice, the people of Princeton, and talk to them and all the great things they're doing. So it's pretty cool, and they really get into it. So we also have Kamora Carpenter. She's made history here at Princeton. It's going to be a trivia question one day. She is the first female wrestler to place at the OHSAA State Wrestling Tournament. That is awesome. So write that down so when the trivia comes, you'll be ready. That's you're a first. That's always a great thing. There's going to be many more, hopefully. And then just yesterday, we watched our girls basketball team in a thrilling game in the state semifinals. They will play for the state championship Saturday, December 15th, 8:30 at UD Arena. So please come out if you can to support them. As you know, they won it 2 years ago. And something that the joke I had with them, a couple of them were in my office last year, and I have a box with championship rings, but they all have the wrong letter on them from a different school. And they were giving me a hard time, like, why you got these in here? I said, well, get me one with a P, and I'll put it in there. So I told them Saturday, and one of the girls said, we're going to get you one with the P's. I said, all right. So we're excited about that. Just watching how Coach D and her staff and those kids are playing. They played so hard yesterday.
They did.
I always tell them, we made some mistakes, but we played hard. When you play hard, you can make up for mistakes. So really excited about that.
Good job on the girls' basketball.
Another thing, in our, Ms. Kessler are like this, Princeton High School AP Art, we have Christian Carl Rivera, whose mixed media artwork in sync was selected as the top 259 artworks in the 2025 Ohio Youth Governor's Art Exhibition.
All right. Wow. Great.
And another, yes. Yeah, and another big congratulations to Zalia Walton, whose photographic work, The Voice Within, was selected for the top 25 in the state of Ohio.
Wow.
Both these artworks will be exhibited at the State Office Tower in Columbus this spring, so we want to congratulate our Viking artists.
Yeah. Great.
I'll add on to that. Like,
Yes.
I consider that competition the hardest one that high schools enter, so
We've
congratulations to
had
that.
that conversation
Yeah.
before, haven't we? So, and then speaking of arts, the Festival of Arts is coming up, March 30th, before our next meeting, Sunday, March 30th. So we'll slide right in with the art to that. Viking Village from 12 to 5, so please come out. Great day to see all the things our kids do. Our staff works very hard with that, and our kids work very hard. Something that happened here recently, I got caught up and didn't get to go to it, because we had our policy meeting. So I'm sorry, Ms. White, I missed it. But the Princeton food truck delivered food and items from the Princeton closet. We have a vulnerable population that needs extra support. There were some freezing pipes at this place, and there were some fires this winter. So the closet, Ms. White in the closet, tremendous huge benefit. Our community members took food and thanks to them. We want to also thank some of our local faith-based organizations for helping out and giving to the closet as well. So Ms. Whiter's Princeton Closet, 501c3, for supporting our students and our families. We appreciate that.
I know that means it's tax deductible.
There we go.
If anybody gives a check.
There we go. Get that plug in, I
I'm
like that.
happy to take it.
And then, I said this last meeting, but I'm gonna say it again because I am. Miss Mary Cleveland, we wanted to brag a little bit because she's in, let me find lost my page.
I thought he would forget.
But she is in, yeah, I know, I left it right there with my stuff, so I wouldn't forget. She is in the OSBA Journal. She is the 2025 President-elect for OSBA for the state. So that is awesome. You can see that there. And you got an award last Thursday. You want to talk about that? Because I was out of town. I didn't make it. I'm sorry. But Dr. Jameson, appreciate you going in my place. Thank you, sir.
We had so much fun, didn't we? Yeah, we did. First of all, I have to say congratulations to Gina, because they did give her 10-year. I know. So, but
Thank you.
I was so proud to see you up there. And then I received the master board from the Ohio School Board Association. So
Awesome.
now I'm an Ohio Master Board member.
All right.
Congratulations.
Whatever that means. Thank you.
All right. And I want to remind everybody, next week, 17th to 21st, is spring break. I'm sure our students and our staff and everyone needs to breathe and relax for the stretch run with testing and all the different things coming up, so I want them to do that. And lastly, someone's birthday today. Who might that be? Miss Trisha Roddy's birthday today. We all know Miss Roddy works very, very, very hard and tirelessly to make sure that all the information gets out. She grinds probably more than I do, I think. So I'm just like, wow, you need to slow down. And she says, well, you need to slow down. So we just go together and we don't slow down. So I want to let everybody know I appreciate all you do for me, all you do for Princeton and Viking Nation. Thank you.
Congratulations. Happy birthday.
And that's all I have, sir.
Could I add one more thing?
Yes.
The Princeton Education Foundation has their gala on Saturday evening. I believe it starts at 5:30, and tickets are still available online.
Okay. I thought about that, but I know we can still get tickets. But come out. I'm going to go to the basketball game in my tux. I'm all excited about that. So we'll see what happens. But, you know, I was out of town. I was talking to a lot of superintendents, and I was telling them about the gala and the Distinguished Alumni event. And if our girls win Sunday, I have to go to both. And I was like, that's a wonderful problem to have. I want that problem every year. So hopefully our girls are listening and they hear that. So thank you.
Very good, very good. Okay. Number 8, executive session to discuss under sections 121.22 G1 to consider the employment and compensation of a public employee of the Ohio Revised Code.
I move to enter executive session for the purpose of discussion under section 121.22 G1 to consider the employment and compensation of a public employee of the Ohio Revised Code. And do we have to mention anything else?
Do we have a second?
Compensation?
Second.
Properly moved in second. Mrs. Pettit?
Mrs. Cleveland?
Yes.
Mrs. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Simons?
Yes.
Mrs. Kessler?
Yes.
Mrs. Whiter?
Yes.
Motion passes. We are adjourning to executive session.